While the Colts haven't been some to be relatively known for blockbuster trades, this potential trade that the Colts have been linked to and speculated on could be something that could absolutely change the face of the Indianapolis Colts for the foreseeable future. We're going to cover all that and more today on this video. What's going on? It's Elijah from Sports Talk Indy, where we cover all things Colts every single day. And today we are talking about a trade that the Colts have been linked to, kind of like speculating on as we look forward. And obviously the big news this week is Davante Adams asking for a trade. And while the Colts aren't in the market for a wide receiver, it does seem that they're pretty set on the wide receiver room. There is this specific player that is sparking some interest, at least among Colts fans and analysts and people around the league, that if this were to become a possibility, I mean, you're talking about literally changing the face of the Indianapolis Colts, and that is reuniting Anthony Richardson with former Florida teammate Kyle Pitts. Now, if you remember 3 years ago, Kyle Pitts was drafted in the 2021 draft class and was drafted round 1, pick 4, just like Anthony Richardson. And coming out of college, Kyle Pitts was by far the highest graded tight end I can remember to date. And this was a 2021 that was like loaded with a lot of other players and a lot of, there was just so much going on in this draft class. And you just look at, Kyle Pitts he's just not lived up to the hype. This is the exact same draft. Let me just read you the first 7 picks. The first 10 picks are wild. And you can even go further, the 12. So let's just read them. So the first pick overall was Trevor Lawrence. Next was Zach Wilson, Trey Lance. They obviously did not work out. But now you've got Kyle Pitts at number 4, Jamar Chase at number 5, Jalen Waddle at number 6, Penei Sewell at number 7, J.C. Horn, Pat Surtain, Devontae Smith, Justin Fields, Micah Parson, Elijah Vera Tucker, Mac Jones, Zayvon Collins, Alex Leatherwood, Jalen Phillips, Kadarius Toney, then Kwity Paye, and then Caleb Farley, so on and so forth. Now, it was the same one that also Najee Harris was in that draft class as well. So you look at that draft class, and it was the fact of the matter is, and the reason I bring all that up is the fact of the matter is that Kyle Pitts was at one time rated even higher than Jalen Waddle, even higher than Najee Smith, even higher than Jamar Chase, higher than Micah Parsons. And I don't think that was a false. I think that was pretty universally agreed that was where they valued Kyle Pitts to be at. And yet, he's not lived up to the hype. Kyle Pitts statistically has not been near what he was estimated to be. And so then it's got people wondering, is this guy a bust? But then you also say, it's tough for me to label him a bust. I think Kyle Pitts still has way more than what he's getting credit for. His total career yards are 2,154 yards on 274 targets, 157 receptions, an average of 13.7. He's expected this year, projected to have a 446-yard season, which for, again, a generational tight end prospect like he was being graded as, is not that high. And I don't think this is any fault of Kyle Pitts. I don't think there's any fault of even the Atlanta Falcons. I think they had bad coaching. You saw this last year with Bijan Robinson really not getting near what he was supposed to, and then Kyle Pitts again having a kind of lackluster year. But I think that you look at Kyle Pitts and the prospect that he has. This is his draft his profile. Let me pull this up here so you could see it. So it's loading here. I just had it. Obviously, it's going to start loading. But obviously had an 87 RAS score, which is really, really high. His prospect grade was 7.9. Next Gen Stats had him at a 92, which is elite. And then you look at height and weight, really good. Production score, that's a 99. You literally cannot get better than that. And then you look at his athleticism score, an 87. Again, ranks him on tight ends first. And then his total score, 92. He's by all intents and purposes, he is a generational prospect that I don't think is going to fully bud under this Atlanta Falcons system. And I don't say that necessarily as a shot to the Falcons or a shot even to Kyle Pitts. I don't think they have a system designed for a player like Kyle Pitts. But do you know who does? Who has a good system? Who also came up in the Florida system as far as offense goes? Who has a head coach who has a college-style offense, who likes to run a lot of, not trick plays, but a lot of false looks, a lot of movement, who could use a guy with a relative athleticism score of 87 and a production score of 99. The Indianapolis Colts. Now, this has obviously just been floated, and I will preface this by saying the Colts are not big traders, generally speaking. Though, I do think that when you look at the production of the tight end room this year and how lackluster it's been, Kylan Grant is underperforming. Mo Alley Cox is underperforming. They either can't catch balls, can't run routes, or they can't block. They have not been performing near to where you would hope them to be at. And we've seen in the first 9 games now, of Anthony Richardson's career, how much he likes to throw to the tight ends. He likes having those options. But when he can't trust those options, that's when he's trying to force balls a little more based on what we've seen so far from Anthony Richardson. I think a deal like this where you've got maybe a year or 2 years left, I think you have 2 years left on contract, and you have the 5th-year option. So signed 2021. So, yeah, this would be his 3rd year or 4th year, and then he would have 1 more. So 2 more years under contract without having to do anything. Kyle Pitts seems to be a potential plug-and-play, immediate game-changing player for the Indianapolis Colts. And we're covering this because, again, this has gotten brought up, and there's a lot of people who are looking at what is this draft class. This draft class looks to either have a lot of booms and some busts, a lot of busts and some booms, whatever. But what we're looking at is Kyle Pitts. I don't think that there was a false evaluation. I think there was a false evaluation with Trey Lance. I think there was a false evaluation with Zach Wilson. I think Trevor Lawrence is, again, a system of a bad or a product of a bad system, bad coaching and bad people, bad things around him. But I think Kyle Pitts still has that opportunity that with good coaching and good molding, that I think Kyle Pitts could be a game changer. And again, you're talking about a very, very young offense already. Ryan Kelly is the oldest and longest tenured Colt on this football team. So you're talking about a guy who could immediately make a change in this game. And we've seen what he's been able to do. He's already had a better year under Kirk Cousins than he did under almost anyone else, or Desmond Ridder or Taylor Heineke or whoever else he's had in that very flawed system of the Atlanta Falcons. But the Atlanta Falcons could use a lot of pieces. I mean, they're not that far away from championship contention, and I don't think they're utilizing Kyle Pitts near as much as they would like, or near as much as a team like the Indianapolis Colts would like to see. Now, again, this is all speculation, but if there were one player that I think the Colts should at least make an effort at getting, it would be a guy like Kyle Pitts. We know they're not going to go after a defensive back, and honestly, hey, the defensive backfield has been playing far above expectations. Don't get me wrong, they've still allowed a lot of points, but they have been playing far above where I expected them to be. So now let's get this offense rolling. Let's get guys behind, guys that draw more attention away, and be able to plug a guy like Kyle Pitts into this offense and really see what Shane Steichen's going to be able to do, or could be able to do, with a guy like this.